Hello, Brandon.
Hey,
Welcome back
Jake.
to the podcast.
Bit more potting. Always a fan of it.
Welcome back to Behind the Bots from Cincinnati, Ohio, and Bowie, Maryland. This is Behind the Bots, the podcast that brings you the stories and the people behind the bots. I'm Jake.
I'm Brandon.
And today on the podcast, our interview with G-Scroll event organizer and floor letter word builder, Alex Curtis. We will wrap up the show this week's installment of Robots Around the World. If you like our show, please rate us on Apple Products, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, CastBox, Player FM, and Podbean. I get faster every time we do this. I really do. And tell a friend. We love when you guys catch us live here, and we love when you guys listen on our to the recording too. It's great. All right, Brandon, let's kick it off with the Combat Robotics calendar. What's going on?
Well, a lot of things, though also a little less. So we're actually going to do 2 weeks in one because it's a little less this time. So we got the week of July 5th and July 12th. So first, July 5th. For July 5th, we have events happening in the United States, Australia, and the UK. First, we head to Walnut, California, where SCAR is hosting Destruction Under the Stars event. 38 competitors in the 1 pound full combat ants and 3 pound beetle weights. We begin fighting at 5 p.m. and continue into the evening. Now we go across the pond to Liverpool, UK, where on Saturday the 5th, 3 pound beetle weights will be fighting at the Cross Keys pub on Sunday the 6th, as well as, and on Sunday the 6th, 150 gram UK ant weights will be fighting at the Eberley pub. Then finally we go down south to Blackstone in Queensland, Australia, where 12 3 pound beetle weights will be competing in the Beetle Banquet. So now looking forward to the week of July 12th, with events in the US, UK, and Canada. In Tallahassee, Florida, there is a Build Fight Fun at Infinicon Tallahassee. The event takes place over Saturday and Sunday, where 62 robots will be competing across the 1 pound ant weight pro, gladiator, that is entry-level sportsman class, plastic ants, and 3 pound beetle weight robots, all fighting it as part of the event, part of the con. In Carrollton, Texas, at the Rev Robotics HQ, they'll be hosting a test and tune event for 1 pound plastic and full combat ant weights. Registration opens on July 4th, so make sure to grab a spot. Heading north, we go to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, where Kilobot 60 will be taking place at the Fingertech Robotics HQ. Currently, 26 robots registered to compete in the berry weight, ant weight rookie and pro classes and 3 pound beetle weight classes. Crossing the pond to Bristol, UK, the Bristol Bot Builders will be hosting Pub Beetles at the Left-Handed Giant Tap Room. This is the second in their summer event series where bots are designed to be fun and fights are decided by crowd cheers. Moving across the UK, we head to London, where Rockin' Robots, a monthly hybrid of both live music and fighting 150 gram UK ant weights at the Others pub, will be performing. The first competitors will be fighting their own machines, and then they'll pass them off to the audience to fight with them in little tournaments, before everyone gets a meal and sits down and listens to live music. Get details on these events and more at robotcombatevents.com, buildersdb.com, and bristolbotbuilders.com. And now we enter an interview with Alex Curtis. Alex, how you doing?
Good evening. How are y'all?
Oh, we're doing pretty good. We're happy to have you on the pod.
I'm glad to be here.
Where are you right now?
I'm actually in my RV just because we're having some power issues, and I wanted to make sure this happened.
Alex texted us about 30 minutes before the podcast and said, I am out of electricity right now. So that was probably the most concerning text you could have sent.
Yeah, that was heart attacks.
So I don't appreciate that, I guess.
Well, there's one thing of how I handle my life is I'm prepared. I have contingency plans. It shows in my robots, it shows at my events, and it shows right here.
So how long have you been running G-Scroll and contingency plans with how you run G-Scroll?
I've been running G-Scroll. This will be our 3rd season championships. We officially formed as a league in January of 22, I believe. Yeah, nice. January of 2022, which I had not even been in the sport for a year yet.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah, I know. I'm still a new guy.
Man. So I guess the question comes with that. So less than a year in the sport, and you thought, yeah, I'm going to run a whole robot event. what kind of drives that? What gets your interest peaked so much that you're like, not only do I want to fight these robots, I want to help others fight robots?
So actually, before I formed the league, Fubar Labs is a makerspace in New Jersey. They had an arena and hosted, I think, 3 events that year. One was a Sussex County Maker Fair. They had one in the spring. They had one Martin Luther King weekend. I borrowed their arena to run Labor Day Disarray, which was my first foray hosting an event. And I was honored with the turnout. I had 31 robots. It's the first time Seth came down. Glenn was there. We had some really competitive robots, and just the crowd, the environment, and working with the Fubar Labs volunteers that helped me make that event happen. We talked after the event and said, well, there's more than one person willing to do this. Why don't we officially form a league?
So it's kind of an organic
Nice.
progression of the Fubar, that one event in late 22.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, 2021. It was January of 2022 we formed.
Oh, I see. So like a little bit of learning time there as well. Let's get up to speed there. Wow. Okay. That's pretty impressive. So I guess with G Scroll, how would you describe sort of the events with it? What's sort of the atmosphere when one goes to a G Scroll event?
It's one of the most friendly and more laid back events out there. I try to limit 36 robots per cage that we have.
Oh.
This allows me to give lesser experienced competitors more of a chance to not have to forfeit. I can shuffle brackets around, I can shuffle match schedule, and make sure that nobody's forfeiting for lack of skill, lack of knowledge, lack of parts.
Interesting.
So are you
definitely very inviting.
Are you tracking that forfeit rate in an official sense, in an unofficial sense, and what when you go
in an unofficial sense?
Yeah,
I think I personally have the highest forfeits in the league, just because I will forfeit my own robot to progress the event.
Yeah.
Besides my forfeits, I think I can count 5 or 6 in the last 3 years.
That's pretty impressive. So a 36 bot bracket gets you how many fights?
That's also across 3 different weight classes. Okay. That's a total number of robots between plastic ants, full combat ants, and beetles. This past year, we've added another event organizer, and he is running events with plastic ants and fairies.
Oh, okay. So even more reach there too.
Exactly. This year we also branched out and had our first event in Pennsylvania.
Oh, that actually sort of tags into one of the questions we were going to say a little later, but actually just sort of flows into now. It's like Maker Neko Miski asked, so G Scroll is primarily competition or league based in New Jersey. And so Correct. Everyone sort of knows the Northeast that's where you sort of compete at. But like you sort of already mentioned, are there any ideas to expand G Scroll? So even just beyond the Garden State. So you've already mentioned Pennsylvania. So So first of all, I can tell us like the experience of Pennsylvania, and then even more so if you have any other ideas of expansion too.
So in Pennsylvania, we have team Langhorne Robotics. They're a great team. They've wanted to host events for the longest time. We also have Paul and his son, who are in South Jersey and acquired our old arena. The 5 of them worked together and got a venue in Newtown, Pennsylvania, as well as a sponsor for the event. And they held fairies and plastic ants in what was a small, really tight-knit community event. And it was the first Pennsylvania event, and more to come.
Wow.
As for expanding elsewhere, I have turned down the opportunity to have 2 or 3 events in New York. My choice to turn them down actually has more to do with staffing them.
Manpower.
So, yes, most of my volunteers being Central Jersey, and me being one of the more northern New Jersey people, means for me to get there versus them, probably add 45 minutes, if not more. And if I'm looking at an event that's 2 hours away for me, it's almost 3 hours for them.
Ah, man.
So you factor your Friday night setup, then you factor being there all day Saturday, and then takedown. If you take down, you still don't want to drive home, you're looking at midnight. So you're looking at 2 nights in a hotel. It's just not feasible for our league to do an event that far yet.
I said not far yet. So does that mean then if you have like a New York base or a Pennsylvania base, or even others might be able to do as the others did and sort of like take an arena, be entrepreneurial, sort of get something going? Does that mean that in theory, if that kind of support builds up, that G-Scroll could expand to other places, even outside of the Garden State?
It is absolutely possible.
All right. You heard it here, viewers and listeners of the pod. If you want G-Scroll to become a true national, at least Northeastern, powerhouse, dominate all of the area, the key is to get your friends together, your friends' friends together, and then get your boss's money and your boss's money and get an arena and start doing some work.
So one of the conversations that happens so often in the sport is like growing the sport and adding new people in a way that's both sustainable for EOs and exciting for those new builders. When you get new builders at your events, what does that intake process look like? How do you see them in relation to other builders, more experienced builders at your events? And how do you kind of like coax? What do you do as an EO to smooth that process, that beginning into the sport?
So, honestly, most of my newest builders have attended at least 2 or 3 events as spectators before actually coming forward with a robot.
Mm-hmm.
And I love seeing that. Some of that comes from our venues as well, which I'll circle back to. So, new competitors that come into our league, I've managed to foster with a lot of help from the community, a community that fosters growth, not only through our Discord server. We actually have at least 1 or 2 volunteers that don't really have an active role at the event. Their role at the event or their downtime from their role, they're interacting with the audience. They're talking to the kids that are interested in front row and right up against the arena. They'll go and ask a competitor, hey, can I grab your robot? And next thing you know, that volunteer's got 2 robots in their hand that they're going into the stands with and talking to the audience and showing the kids and giving them this experience that I don't know if other leagues are doing that, but it has really fostered the growth within our league. The parents ask our volunteers and staff members the questions about getting involved. The kids ask the questions about the robots. And everybody's informed, everybody has their questions answered. And we get parents that email us and come back and go, what's your recommendation on a kit? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I'm going to say it's 8 or 10 emails a month that I'm answering in that regard. Of those 8 or 10, 1 or 2 usually become competitors.
That's cool. That's such a natural flow too. It doesn't feel forced. It feels very, like you said, like building a welcoming community. Wow. If other EOs are listening,
that community as well is what supports and helps the newer competitors. I see more of my competitors at other people's tables at an event, except for right after their match. It's basically, this is a social event.
Yeah, it's an event, like you said, and not just for competing, but it's like that human side of it. Like I was reading off earlier about like the events in the UK. Like some of them tied into like pubs, or they sort of mix that in. One of them had live music, probably like mixed into that too. One of the attributes they mentioned there, so in that event description, is like they had the competitors fight, and then I suppose they build them super hardy fairy weights, and they pass them off to people in the crowd, and they get to compete with it. And maybe we'll probably reach out to the Brits at some point or another and try to bring them in, get the perspective on things, the time lines up and works out and all that kind of stuff. But I imagine that kind of participation in the crowd relates on a human level. And if it relates on a human level, then that means it's going to be a lot more direct than just like this thing over there that I'm looking at. It's a lot more of, this is something that I enjoy doing because now I've gotten a taste of it. When I think of like combat robots, it's very infectious that way. And it's good to see that you guys are really building off of that angle, because it's a very critical one to make that real bridge from scary tech thing over there to, oh, this is not my hobby that I enjoy doing.
And that ties into, like I said, the venues that I was going to circle back to. So, first off, G-Scroll has never paid for a venue.
Nice. Oh, that's really good.
We've had venues from Area 57, which is a local tech expo put on by one of our sponsors, Warren County Community College, with their UAV drone program. So they give us a high school gymnasium there. We have the Warren County Balloon Festival, which I can't tell you how many thousand people show up for that. And as they're walking around, they see combat robots. We get Bridgewater Mall, which we actually had December of last year. We had May of this year. And May of this year, we actually got center court of the mall.
Center court?
Yes. The main 3-story foyer right in the middle of the mall.
Bask in the glory of the fighting robots.
I've seen
exactly
photos of that event. It's hilarious to see.
And we get New Jersey State Fair. We are one of the things, they give us a pavilion on opening Saturday of the state fair. There's a handful of other smaller events through the year that the venues aren't as spectacular. Sussex County Maker Faire is a bigger 2-day event. And of course, tied in with the Maker Faire name, you get a whole bunch of people that have the mindset of tinkering and hands-on, as well as the parents and the kids that are looking for something to do.
No, that's a great setup. I'm glad they encourage that, because I can definitely say when I went to G-Scroll, It was June, I think, of last year, or year before. Time flies fast.
Yes, that was last
Yes.
year. You came right after teams. You pulled a
Yeah.
doubleheader weekend,
Great time.
and that was the Warren County Balloon Festival event.
Yeah. It was really good seeing that, because as people heard the spin ups, people would always walk by me like, things happening, and that was really cool. The Brazilians joined us as well, and they have like the huge, high RPM drums. So whenever they're whirring and you hear a big bang as it sort of resounds off of the steel, you're like, oh, this is cool. People just naturally gravitated around it. It was such a nice thing.
And this year we had an interesting happening at that event. So we had someone's robot basically catch fire right in the arena.
Oh, okay.
So we got the robot out of the arena in the sand bucket quick enough and got it off to a paved area. We handled it, got the CO2 extinguisher, no flames, cooled the battery down. But with the number of people there and the fire department being on scene already, they have 2 trucks there, they have the ambulance, they have 10 people. It's a big event going on. So they're already there. They came, they looked at it. Fire department notified me that, this is a LiPo battery. We have to notify hazmat.
Oh.
So we had the fire truck, we had hazmat, and we had 3 firefighters standing around a garbage can in the middle of a paved walking trail for about 30 minutes.
Oh, just sort of staring at the battery.
Staring at an entire robot in the garbage can.
Oh, as a dumpster or trash bin beetle weight sits there.
More or less. The rest of the volunteers kept the event going. Fire department and hazmat looked at us and said, well, you did everything right. You don't want to smother it with a blanket. It's great to get it out of the cage. It's great to get people away. You don't want to leave it there, because some of the blankets, as it off gases, will hold that underneath of it. And it can become explosive. That is not so much the case with our smaller batteries, but your e-bikes, your scooters, those batteries get in that size range where it's possible.
Oh. I guess that kind of works out well then, with the beetles and the ants being the primary focus of G-Scroll, and then the double down of, because it's almost like built-in insurance at that point. Like the balloons fair is already there. You already have all the people on site. I mean, they know about it and they can respond to it and all that kind of stuff. But like, it's not like you're paying a fire truck or waiting for a fire truck to come by if a fire happens, or even that the venue is any more worried about it, because it's like, oh, well, they're over there. And it's sort of that built-in nature. It's so cool.
We hosted in Bridgewater Mall in 2 days with 117 robots, and I'm not even sure how many fights. I ran 21 batteries out of the building. 3 complete robots.
Oh.
Yeah. So I did not set off fire detectors in the mall, no smoke detectors, nothing. And a lot of that is having your volunteers trained, prepared, and ready.
Nice.
So do these events or these venues, you do how many events a year?
This year we did 14, if I recall correctly.
Oh,
next year we're looking at the potential for 18.
So you're doing,
oh my gosh.
So you're doing, on average, 1, sometimes 2 a month. Next year you're looking at 1.5 per month. Do these, you said you've never paid for a location, which is, that's a feat in itself. Do these locations know what they're getting into when you sign up, or are they aware, or how do you prepare them for what you're bringing?
So the best way of doing that is showing them some amount of videos.
Yeah.
The Bridgewater Mall, the first time was probably the hardest venue to get. It's also been the most amazing venue. For 2 years, Bridgewater Mall gave us an empty store 2 weeks before Christmas.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was not, oh, here, have 1,000 square feet. They gave us like 6,000 square feet
Wow.
for a weekend.
And they must like you. They
That's
must like
awesome.
you, New Jersey. Oh my goodness.
That's awesome.
So for other EOs out there, look at your malls around you. A lot of them have empty stores. And if you pick times of the year and you can prove through your live stream data, any historical information you have, any logs that you can show, and records of where your competitors come from and travel from, that's an easy way to tell a mall, hey, I want to do this. This is what I attract. And not only that, people that are walking by stop in and tell their friends, and a handful more people trickle into your mall.
And buy
And so now you take
Schaefer
notes.
products. 2 weeks before Christmas, Mom, I want an SSP kit. Mom,
Drop that
please.
SSP. Get some bone boxes, guys.
There's something that I've started doing with
not
G-Scroll.
Not sponsored.
Sorry, they're good.
There's something I've started doing with G-Scroll that other leagues can learn from.
Okay.
Instead of saying, hey, I want this space, you market yourself as an entertainment. If you
Like
tell them we're going to draw people in here, you're more likely to get that space for nothing or even discounted.
Wow. So you say you're like a traveling circus where you bring in entertainers and maybe something that doesn't, well, you're not permanent, obviously. That's sort of like a good, maybe like a framework to build off of?
More or less, yeah. If you say, I want to bring this entertainment feature in here, if you can provide me the space, I'll provide you an insurance certificate. And all I need from you is to open up the door and close it when we're done.
EOS take notes.
That's cool. I'm looking through the G-Scroll server right now for pictures of the which event was the
that was Seasonal SmackDown.
Ideal.
We actually should have a pictures channel.
Yeah. Let me look.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So like as Jake sort of does some live investigating for us, that kind of ties into some of the big points, some of the questions people have specifically about G-Scroll as we sort of work through it. So like Leo and Matt Lantry, or Leo University of Toronto and Matt Lantry Pandemonium, they were asking about the ups and downs of running an event and then creating a league. I think you've already sort of covered a great deal about some of those points. But what are some other things that you might want to share as post, like sort of the ups and downs of event running, event organizing?
So I love competing. I really do. And for the 2024 calendar year, I attended 26 events. Now, attending an event in that category means I staffed it, I was pit crew, or I competed, or any combination of the above. So what that says is in order for me to compete, I'm typically leaving my league and competing elsewhere.
Interesting.
I did 2 weekends at BattleBots last year. I went out to a Michigan event with Merca. I did Sword. I think I was at every NHRL except Champs last year, just to give an idea.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point though, because if you're being that bedrock, then you can't be in it. Can't have your cake and eat it too. But it's also a nice sort of lead into there as well. So we kind of just dive right into G Scroll because I'm sure most people probably recognize you from G Scroll. But at the same time, what's sort of like your background in robot fighting as a whole? Like what brought you into it? So maybe some experiences you got early on that led to it. Obviously, G Scroll is a big part of it, but other stuff around G Scroll as well. It's like what's sort of the background as far as robot combat goes, and then we'll go to other stuff in general
So
too.
before G Scroll was officially formed, I only had 8 months in combat robots.
Oh,
I, 1999 as a kid, saw BattleBots, fell in love with it, and said, I'm going to do that one day. So, absolutely had that opportunity. I mentor First Robotics, and it was at an FRC event that Jackie said to me, Jackie being a FUBAR member and a member of Team Hijinks, hey, we're getting a couple people together and we're going to do something not that far down the road from you. Why don't you come and see what's going on? I figured I was stopping in for about an hour. 5 hours later,
5 hours later.
some of you, like Bob with Red Marlin or Blue Marlin.
Whoa. We don't talk about Red Marlin on this channel.
Only Blue.
Dude,
Only
Bob
Blue.
is gonna
Blue.
not gonna like that one.
Bob, please stay. Please stay.
Bob just left the chat. You can't talk about Bob like that.
Bob and Blue Marlin.
Okay.
I know he's Blue Marlin. I give him a hard time about making it red. Jordan was blue. That was his 1 pound back then. I met him there. I met Ryan, who runs Shin Kicker, Lilliputian, Tokyo Drisk. That was his first event. And there was a couple others there, like Adam, who runs the Captain. And I probably came off as overzealous. I have 19 CNCs here at home. I can build anything.
Okay.
Excuse me. First of all, we're going to get back to the background.
Yeah.
This is Robot Comments right now. We're going to get
context.
off all of this. We're getting to all of this. But this is a great teaser, but keep going.
Okay.
So I attended that. I went home. I bought a lobotomy kit.
Okay.
I think it was 3 weeks later. I went out to Sword. I made it most of the way through the upper bracket. Lars knocked me into the lower bracket. I beat him in the lower bracket the second time. That guaranteed me second place. And up to the winner's bracket to fight Nate Franklin with Slim Pickens. I have no idea how I pulled off the double win against Nate to win the event.
Congratulations.
That was my first hands-on, here's a robot, you're competing, have an event. Following that, goes back, like I said earlier, to hosting Labor Day Disarray, which was September the same year. Hosted that great event. That was in Create It Labs Makerspace, down in their basement. It was hot, it was tight, not a lot of space, but we made it happen. And that's really the origin of G-Scroll. We waited to the end of the year and formed the league in January. And the rest is the history of 10 plus events a year.
Man, what a rapid increase there. Like that was just like a huge spike. It's like, okay, these robots are pretty cool. Maybe, I love this BattleBot thing. The little known show from the 90s. Who knows? Who remembers it? Fast forward a little bit. All right, I'll make a whole league. We're gonna run the state. Me and some friends. We're gonna make sure that New Jersey becomes a robot haven, especially in the Northeast, where it's already a huge robot haven. We're really doubling down on all that. What a spike!
The craziest part, I went from my first event to an invite to a heavyweight team in 18 months.
Oh, wow. Because BattleBot was right around the corner at that point.
I went with Fireball to fall face-offs.
Yep.
Okay.
So going from that, my 2-year anniversary in the sport, I did not drive it for a fight, but I got to drive Claw Viper at a Destructathon as well.
That's a fun bot.
It is insane. It is fast. It drives ridiculously well. And I just love the way Kevin, Dan, and the team put that together.
Oh man. That's remarkable. What a just meteoric rise in terms of both the experience as well as the involvement, and at the same time, love to see the excitement that goes with it too. Like that is like passion in a great form. It's like many robot builders sort of begin their times like, I'm interested in a sport, I want to build some robots. But it's kind of that long evolution we see from builders where they're kind of like beginning running stuff. Like I know NERC down in Pennsylvania, that's a lot of what they did. They're trying to maintain the sport and all that kind of stuff. And people like Al Kindle and Ed McCarron, John Duran, James Aoka, many, many more, they sort of began with the idea of like, we want to have robot fights. I love robot fighting. And then they EO'd after time. And they still tried balancing robot work, sort of like you're doing. But that was also like Motorama's like over like 20 years old now. And G-Scroll's like 3. And you just zoomed right through all of that. That's incredible stuff.
So I'm also ridiculously lucky in having the league as well. So some of you may know what Pumpkin Chunkin is.
Oh, yeah.
I've been involved in Pumpkin Chunkin since 2009.
So I guess to those who may not know what Pumpkin Chunkin is, so can you describe it for us, Alex?
Pumpkin Chunkin is basically build a machine to throw a pumpkin as far as you can. I was a member of Team Chucky. I believe it's 7-time world champions and 4-time world record holder.
Team Chucky, CH.
Man.
We threw a 10-pound pumpkin 4,300 feet.
Oh my gosh.
So this is, I don't know if you've got, so it's this giant, so it operates the same as a trebuchet. Is that?
Not exactly.
Okay.
We are a torsion catapult.
Oh.
So we have a giant twisted rope bundle through the center of the catapult. And in fact, we needed so much power. The Chucky 3, which is the third revision of our catapults, stands 23 feet tall.
Oh.
We twisted the rope with 3,000 PSI hydraulics.
For Battlebots fans at home, for perspective, that is much more closing like Crushers. So I want to think about like maybe Razor from Classic Robot Wars, or even I imagine something like Hydra, probably in the modern day, uses a similar level of power in a different way, of course. But that's just to my perspective, that's insane levels of power to throw a pumpkin, an insane amount of power. That's awesome.
Yes. And we're using 3-inch double braided and twisted rope. in the torsion bundle.
There it is.
So this is the rope that you tie an aircraft carrier to the dock with.
Oh my gosh.
And we actually found with the hydraulic cylinders, we can shear this rope inside the torsion bundle.
You're shearing a 3-inch
Yes.
rope that holds down aircraft carriers.
That would tie it off to the dock. Remember, tying a ship off to the dock does not require a lot of force.
This is true. It's not like you're doing a tug of war with an aircraft carrier.
Exactly.
But you are still holding an aircraft carrier and as it sits in port, resisting its inertia to move somewhere else.
Exactly. But you're what, 10, 12 sets of ropes?
Man. Yeah, this is all to throw a pumpkin. A pumpkin.
Yeah.
Like the scale is incredible compared to an aircraft carrier.
It's 23 feet tall.
Awesome. Mm-hmm.
23 feet tall and a release speed right around 600 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh.
So
Our little catapult.
I'm showing pictures of this on the stream right now. So 3,485 foot. So that's further than a mile. Like that's a mile and a
mile's
half.
5,200.
Oh no! I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
5280.
Yeah. Okay.
It's fine. He has a master's degree. It's fine.
I'm sorry. I thought a mile. I had 2,000 feet in my head. A mile. That's sorry. I'm sorry.
That's a ton.
Sorry,
That's
guys.
A ton is a mile.
Okay. I just read that someone was injured during this, so my head is still kind of reeling from that. But
yes, that was an air cannon.
Okay.
Not Chucky's fault. Very key.
Not Chucky's fault.
So Chucky stands 23 feet tall, 19-foot throwing arm. And as far as we know, it is the only 2-stage torsion catapult ever built. And what that means is our power arm that sits in the torsion bundle with the twisted rope is not the same arm that throws it. And if you go back and look at that picture, you'll see there's an almost 4-foot cam at the very top of the machine. That cam is what allows us to slow the acceleration enough to not instantly crush the pumpkin.
Yes, that actually answers that question. Exactly. So like for other like BattlePots fan references, so you can think of it kind of like how flippers. It is pumpkin shape, pumpkin color. Like for reference here. So if you think about how Blip wants to flip another robot, because Blip is also using like a string that's getting wound up. So Blip does not want to dump all of the power immediately. He does not want to hit peak acceleration at the moment it hits the button. Instead, what Blip wants to do is it wants to touch the robot, sitting on the face of the weapon, and accelerate it over the course of its arc. And as you're accelerating it, you're adding more work, more energy into the system. And as you're dumping that energy in the system, you begin to accelerate it at a consistent rate, which doesn't explode the other machine. Blip isn't like piercing a hole through another robot. But as it's doing that, it keeps adding more and more energy into it. It is accelerating it in that way, which begins throwing it. So if you can imagine, Chucky is taking all that force and it's accelerating it over time. So by the time the pumpkin leaves, it's still very fast. It's still very, very fast, obviously. But as it's doing that, it's basically accelerating the pumpkin to the point of impact. So by the time the pumpkin's leaving, it's not exploded, it's not crushed, but it's still heaps of power, heaps of energy going with it, which is throwing it at stupid speeds.
Yes.
So it's incredible stuff. But for now, we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, just a chance to catch our breath and get some bit of water. But then afterwards, we'll be right back and we'll dive into some more stuff with Alex.
Thanks, guys. Welcome back to Behind the Bots. We're here with Alex Curtis, G-Scroll organizer, floor letter word builder, and all around nice guy, and pumpkin chunkin enthusiast. So here we have, usually on this channel we do fight reviews. This is a chunkin review.
Let's go.
So this is your Torsion Catapult Chucky 3 early 2012.
Yes, this is just us at the practice field messing around, probably throwing either a bowling ball or a Pykrete.
Oh my gosh.
So, okay. So,
for those who don't know, Pykrete is a mixture of sawdust and ice.
How the hell do you move this thing? How do you get it from point A to point B? Do you build it on site?
No. There is actually a set of axles that bolt underneath of that catapult and a tongue. So it itself is a trailer.
Oh.
Okay.
The whole top of that. So the catapult, the top flips down like this.
Oh, okay. So it leans back, leans down.
So we're winding.
So we have this 2 and some change story tall, massive torsion thrower.
Yes.
And like a single human winding it up, by the way, is very small compared to it. This is definitely
I love the
size.
zoom out, and it's just a massive piece of equipment.
all these people are just below it, just sort of looking up at this grand monolith. Well, you get this mass tube frames. Looks like they're about to fire. Like a lot of excitement, tension. Literally tension because of the winding rope. And so then waiting. This will all be cut out of the audio, by the way. This is being shrunken down.
Audio only listeners. You gotta
right
come
now.
to the stream. The stream is where it's at. You gotta watch the VOD because this is the content you're missing out on, which is a 20 floor, 20 story. No, sorry, not 20 story. 20 foot.
20 foot. There you go.
My bad.
23 foot.
23 foot.
So the guy that you just saw walk up to it with the pole and pull something out, that's the safety bar.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
the safety guy.
Wow.
So he knows where to put the pole. That's key.
To remove the pole.
Oh,
and there it goes.
Jeez.
Fascinating. I actually can see sort of the cam action there.
Jeez.
So I can sort of see it. Well, first of all, I can see how it sort of rotates along it. But I also notice like the acceleration curve. Like I can see the tip getting faster as it sort of begins to accelerate from that. It's pretty cool.
That's the first time I was on Discovery Channel.
The first, man. All right, what a flex. The first time I was on Discovery Channel. The first time the powers that be realized that Alex Curtis was a star.
So the load, or your projectile's all the way out here in the front. So you've got about
correct.
How long of a whip is that?
It's a 19-foot throwing arm and a roughly 14-foot sling.
Oh my.
Okay.
33 foot.
And then that torsion. Okay, so it's kind of a. Oh, I see how the cam is working.
Yeah, you see the double step? Exactly.
Yeah. So the rope that is actuating the arm rolls over that cam to give it a faster acceleration toward the end. Wow.
Exactly.
Yes. We need to slow the acceleration at first.
Right.
Because it's that initial no inertia to having it.
Yeah.
Which is typically where the pumpkin explodes.
Yep. That's a good point. Because the pumpkin chunking, you have to consider how much explosion or how much you're trying to protect the pumpkin. So, like, did you ever have to do tests figuring out like how much resilience a pumpkin can take and then build around that?
Absolutely.
Pumpkin science, if you will.
In fact, there's different breeds of pumpkins that we use.
Oh, wow.
Use There's actually pumpkins with no seed chambers. There's ones with thick walls. Your orange pumpkin, that's just going to obliterate no matter what catapult you throw it with at this level.
Too weak.
Oh my gosh.
Your Lestrellas, which is your white pumpkins,
weak.
They're much more resilient.
Oh, wow.
A lot of times you find them to be short and wide. So you want to launch them on their side and give it spin. Because you'll actually you want to throw it almost parallel to the ground. But with the spin, it'll actually pick up. It uses the Coriolis effect itself to change its trajectory as it goes.
Guys, this is nuts. Chad New, I hope you're taking notes.
Yeah,
Grow
Chad
some
New
of the,
is
what are they called,
shaking in his
strollers?
boots. I think I want to go to Chad News, abduct some pumpkins, and launch him. I don't think. I think Chad News. Have you met Chad? I think you'd have a lot to say to him.
I may have.
Okay,
but
he's into pumpkins. I'll put it that much.
Going back to where all of this started is there's also a local smaller pumpkin sling. And this is where I say that I'm spoiled. The woman that runs that also runs the Area 57 event. She runs the balloon festivals, along with having contacts all over the place. That's awesome. I went to her because I volunteer at her pumpkin sling and have since the beginning of her events, and said, I'm doing this with combat robots. I need a little bit of help getting the league going, and I wouldn't mind help finding a sponsor for the arena. In less than a week, she had the entire arena paid for and had made 2 of her events right off the bat.
So you told us earlier that enterprising was a big part of it, but you also just got to know a gal, apparently, because apparently you just met the master of ceremonies for New Jersey cool stuff.
There's a lot of knowing people and networking as well. For the leagues that already exist and have an arena, you already have events, you already have a track record. You can present yourself as an entertainment. For those of you that want to build a league, the best thing I can tell you is volunteer other places first. The more roles that you volunteer, the more that you learn from someone else, the less you have to figure out and run on contingency plans and have backup plans and pivot mid-event.
Man, this is a gold mine of knowledge. This is definitely for all you aspiring event organizers, bookmark, share, heart, favorite, repost. Because Alex's words are like gold around here. Man, incredible stuff.
All right, I have a question.
Sure.
What's going on here? What is this?
Okay, funny story about that.
Please explain what this is.
So what that is, you might want to zoom in on some of the other faces around it.
They're fantastic.
Because nobody knew this was planned.
This, by the way, for the audio listeners, is a photo of Alex. This is, by the way, is a photo for the audio listeners of Alex unicycling with his wife on his shoulders, and everyone responding to that situation in real time.
So this was how we introduced the bride and groom at our wedding.
That's awesome.
This was not pre-planned. This was my father coming to me and going, "Your unicycle's in my car." And I got this evil grin on my face, looked at my wife and said, "Should we do it?" She said, "You only get married once," even though it was our second wedding. Thank COVID for that.
Yeah.
Got on my shoulders and went into the venue with her on my shoulders on a unicycle.
This is
Well,
fantastic.
okay.
So
First of all, this is absolutely incredible. Go ahead, Jake. Go ahead, Jake.
you unicycle. What is the story on that?
Yes, that exactly.
So I've been unicycling for 30 years. I was 5 when I learned to unicycle. I have done the New York City Century 4 times. The New York City Century is a 100-mile ride.
Bike tour. America's only all urban 100-mile bike tour. And so you did this on a
My guy.
on a unicycle.
I've done it on a unicycle 4 times.
Oh my gosh.
Alex.
Alex. Look at all these
The
happy
secret
people.
life of Alex Curtis,
100
people.
100 miles into a bike ride. No one should.
On a
They're
unicycle.
clearly at the start here because no one looks like this happy after 100 miles on a bike.
No one's enslaved
So the interesting thing about the first time I did it, I unicycled from home to the train station, took the train into New York City, unicycled from New York Penn to the start, did the 100 miles, unicycled back to New York Penn, took the train home, and unicycled home, totaling 118 miles in 24 hours.
So you start
in 24 hours. Oh my gosh.
You start down by Battery, you go up, you go around the Bronx, and then all the way around Queens. Oh my gosh. Across the bay.
You know, just in case you thought I was normal.
Around Brooklyn. No, no.
Punkin' Chunkin'.
I don't think
really?
anyone
yeah.
could be mistaken after this. Mr.
You're
Curtis.
different.
I have
You are different
I have
level.
other G Scroll competitors that did Pumpkin Chunkin'.
Man. So okay, so how fast can you unicycle then? Because Ben from Stoogenators asked that from HRL Discord. How fast can you unicycle? Like,
so I have a unicycle with a 36-inch tire and a 2-speed shift on the fly hub.
dude, what do you mean 2-speed shift on a unicycle?
Yeah, wait.
It is a planetary gearbox inside the hub.
Dude.
And you shift by kicking a knob that goes through the center of it, left and right.
Oh my gosh.
So mathematically, my top speed would be 38 miles an hour. My record that I have actually done myself is 29 miles an hour.
That's flying.
So you're telling me that you could outpace most robots in NHRL if it was a straight line drag between you on a unicycle and the robots?
Oh, absolutely.
Dang.
I
forget the exact top. I forget the top speed of like a lot of BattleBots, but I don't imagine a lot of them hit that speed either. So you could probably outpace.
Hey,
a lot of BattleBots,
NHRL, if you're listening, if you gave me Cage 2, I would keep circling the cage on a unicycle while driving a robot.
Hope you're hearing NHRL.
Nothing would bring me more joy than watching you come out on prime time on a unicycle into the bowl. That would be fantastic.
I would be honored to do it, and I look forward to making prime time again and doing it.
That is true. Yeah, go ahead.
This is fantastic because it's not practiced. It's completely off the cuff. What a fantastic photo.
It is like a Renaissance painting because you have all these facial responses as well. Like you could spend many time just looking and reading the expressions of people, just sort of understanding what's going through their heads in that moment. Who are excited, who are horrified, who are indifferent, apathetic, allocritic, who are any of these responses. And yet at the center of it is you on a unicycle. And all.
Exactly.
Incredible stuff. Man, that's some good work. All right. So, Alex, you already mentioned you would love to do some unicycling NHRL. Well, naturally, that begs the question about your robot history. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to pull up a smattering of fights, just a little bit here about some of the robot fighting you've been able to do. Just a little taste of it. Especially, if I'm not mistaken, with floor letter word.
So, you had us pull 2 fights. One was with a group of 3s, I guess, and then the other side was supersize and floor letter word from teams. Which one do you want to start?
Yes. Take your pick.
I will pick supersize. So, what team were you on at NHRL teams?
So I was a member of Brett Breakers.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting story on that is I had wanted to do teams. I didn't know if it was going to happen. I'm sitting next to Kevin at a hotel in Las Vegas. We're out there with Claw Viper. He got a message from Gil about putting a team together. And lo and behold, he just turned around, looked at me, and said, "You want to be the 30?
Nice.
Or what robots do you have?" I forget which way it was. And I'm like, I really don't have a good 3. I don't own a 12. My 30 is the most viable.
That was a
right man, right place, right time.
That was a question we got, which was, when are you going to build a 12, Alex?
Funny story about that. I have 2 3s that are almost done.
Okay.
I have a 30 that's going to replace floor letter word in my lineup.
Okay.
And then I'm going to work on a 12.
Okay. Well, I'll see.
So I guess before we get too far, oh dang. So before we get too far, because we are talking about floor letter word a couple times. So what's the story behind floor letter word?
So
its name,
floor letter
how
word,
you got it, built it, all that. Yep.
Floor letter word is actually formerly Litterbots. It was a Damian Kaskas bot. When he did championships, was that 2021? The last time he was there, I pit crewed with him and Remy. And about a month later, he said, "I'm not going to head to NHRL anymore." And I asked what was going to happen with the 30s and had the opportunity to purchase it. So I did.
So
there you go.
How much has changed off of it from the kind of the original litter box?
Original litter box.
Ran versus what exists now?
Right now, ESCs and weapon motors.
That's it. That's all that's to say.
That's it.
So you've replaced the
frame. Yeah, the frame's been damaged and replaced. It's still the same frame. No changes, just different piece of material.
Solid, consistent robot.
So
nice.
Since I got it, I've struggled with some radio issues and some ESC issues. I think I have them straightened out. I'm not sure. So I'm eyeing up October or November NHRL.
Well. It seems I'll probably see you there because I'm going to fly at least one more time. Maybe be both events. We'll see.
These are some of the radio issues against Emperor here.
Yeah, so like
yeah,
exactly. So in the Emperor fight, the robot got up to speed, died, and then now stopped and moving again.
This was ESC issues with the weapon ESCs.
Yeah.
And in this fight, believe it or not, I won by knockout. And the thought going through my mind when my weapon ESC blew up was,
poor Emperor.
I have no armor. I have no spinning blade, which is what I use as armor. And I went, screw it. The weapon's still there. Shove it in their weapon. And
Big
it
hunk of
paid
steel.
off because they got themselves wedged in the wall so hard,
Been there.
the unstick was unable to get them.
I've been there. I've been down that road. Rough road. Oh, it could almost get him out too. Ooh, that's unfortunate.
Ah, man. But it also speaks to the nature of combat then. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. It's not how I want to win. I want a good fight. But things like that happen.
And you guys,
or like my fight with Ray Billings in Disinformation. We went into the fight. It was a one-hit fight. We both took each other's weapon out. And I spent 2 minutes, 45 seconds being pushed around and trying to push him around.
you guys fought
Yeah,
at
that's
one
how it
point,
is.
right?
Yeah.
What was that?
Phenomenon's fought against 4-letter word.
Yes.
That was pretty fun. That's been a really good highlight clip feed from there. There's a lot of fights
The
to go
first
through.
time.
It was under the name
Or was it
Litterbox.
Litterbox?
It was
yeah,
under
yeah,
the name Litterbox, but that would have been January of 23, so you actually had it at that point.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember we took photos of it. This was back when Phenomenon was a little younger, still version 1, and its drivetrain not quite as reliable. But like the violence was there. And then this fight, that was pretty clear.
And the total annihilation of Thunderchild in this fight.
That was great. Yeah.
Poor Nate.
What happens when you put a 3-pound robot between two full 30-pound weapons?
Exactly.
No, that was pretty good. I remember, like, especially when we get to later on, this is one of like the most highlight worthy shots in NHRL. They played this clip a couple times over now. Yeah, you can see like at this point in the fight, Phenomenon's drive just died or is a little sad. It's working its way out though.
Oh, God.
And there goes Thunderchild.
Oh,
it's gone. Yeah. Because this is what happened. Because Thunderchild was right in the middle of a Phenomenon 4-letter word exchange.
Oh my gosh. I've never seen a minibot so, oh my God,
thoroughly
it just
unmade.
Evaporates just in the absolute wrongest spot. Holy
It also hurt because I got stuck on it too. Yeah, you can see it there.
Oh my gosh.
The best part of Thunderchild, though, for me, he could drive under my weapon.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's no chance that you would hit him. Like, oh, geez. Yeah, I'm considering for one of my configurations running a second robot. And my biggest concern is, I can't get around that because I'm an undercutter, but is whacking my mini. So that's a good combo.
And this, honestly, in this fight, because Brandon used his unstick, is where I should have just stopped.
Yeah. That's not what gets immortality, though.
This is true.
Because now he struck Phenomenon, which killed its drivetrain on one side. And so now Phenomenon's kind of limping around. I think the drive's dead on both sides here.
Oh,
but that shot, almighty shot. Yeah. So the shot eventually, basically his shot did kill both sides of drive on Phenomenon. Just one little more delayed. Or just got stuck, or got stuck.
Poor Nate.
But
oh my God, the entire harness is hanging out. Oh my gosh,
yeah.
The battery's
I have to say, Thunderchild still was recognizable afterwards.
It was. To his credit, I think it failed in like the most clean way it could for being put between two 30-pound robots.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks again for the nice shot. That's been a pretty good highlight reel moment. I'm glad you still got the win for that, for generosity too.
That's such a great fight.
Yeah.
So that was after you acquired Litterbox. So
yes.
Yeah. You fought. Oh wow.
And then I really liked the Formidable Floorsome fight that I had shared with you.
Oh yeah. That was crazy. That was crazy.
So this was the old mini-bot rules. So we had the multi-bot,
Wait.
plus Mud Skipper was the heaviest robot, which gave us the shuffler bonus, which gave us a full 6 pounds of robot to play with. There's 4 copies of my standard ant weight in there, which is formidable. And then there's Mud Skipper.
Yeah,
what is
like,
crazy?
Again,
What is crazy about that ant weight? It's a 35-36 weapon motor with an 8-inch diameter AR-500 bar.
Oh.
And competes as an ant weight.
Yeah, you mean to hurt people with that robot, that's for sure.
Look at it. Oh, jeez.
Man. Yeah, because Anthony, builder of Anubis, asks, what's the floor naming scheme coming from? They have formidable and 4-letter word.
So that actually goes back. My first event, registration was closing, and I was sitting at work. I had about 10 minutes left to register.
Oh.
And I could not think of a name for my lobotomy kit. I looked up at the fan. It's horizontal. It's spinning. I'm like, okay, floor fan. Entered the robot as floor fan. And now it's just all floor puns. Formidable, floor the win, floor letter word, in floor face, floor sander, floor sure.
Big Cork is winning this fight, by the way. I want to point out that
you think they're winning. We actually knock them out.
Oh no! Don't
Spoilers
like that. Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah.
Well, here's the thing: the 3 formidables. The 3 formidables are Torlin from Lich.
yeah.
Well, they're still going. They're still going.
This is shocking. Oh,
and
my
there
gosh.
it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Big Quark is stuck, not moving.
My understanding is they lost their radio. But it counted as a knockout, and this just shows I'm here to have fun, and I love chaos.
That's great.
Man, excellent stuff.
That's great.
Yeah, because that was great. I mean, congratulations on the win.
A
couple years old, but still did the job. Yeah.
And as you can tell, all of the drivers just had so much fun with that.
Yeah, everyone's laughing, giving high fives. It's looking pretty good. Man, that's incredible. That's good stuff. Good stuff for formidable and 4-letter word. So
and actually, I have power back now as well.
Oh, congratulations! The journey story arc of the episodes coming back around.
Well, that also means we can look at the small building area.
So, you want to take us on a brief tour? Is that we can
absolutely?
Do that? We can do that as the last act. That's great.
Yeah, because we still want to know about these 16 CNC machines.
What
he did say that.
You dropped that right before the break and then never explained. And if you could keep your phone turned on the side too, that would be awesome. Just
for the VOD watchers, you get to enjoy it.
It's a live
yes,
look.
We'll give. This is the that moves the G-Scroll arenas.
Okay.
Awesome.
We're gonna go ahead here.
We're getting the live tour. This is the magic of doing it live. We get to experience the full range of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna find this in other.
This is the first time this podcast has come from a camper. I will say that.
All right. So
we have electricity again. The lights are on.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, in the workshop.
Oh wow. I'm glad that everyone's shop is a total mess. It makes me feel less bad that my shop is also a total mess. Okay. So you've got
So,
old school Bridgeport. Love it.
yep. So really nice gearhead lathe.
Yep.
And what's really cool about this one, I've got the DRO and everything.
Yeah.
I have power feed on the tailstock.
Oh, wow.
What?
Wow. My lathe,
Yes.
my
Very cool.
brand new lathe that our makerspace doesn't even have.
Engage and disengage is
wow.
right there.
Look at that. That's a rare
awesome.
feature. Yeah.
For those of you that may recognize that, that is
Bloodsport
the
head.
battle-used head of Bloodsport
Nice.
from
Whoa.
Destructathon.
Can you do power tapping with that with the live tailstock or no?
I could.
Okay.
I'd much rather just not lock the tailstock down,
Yeah.
run the tap in, reverse it.
Yeah. Okay.
Fair enough.
So I also tell everyone I have tons of hardware. This is what I mean when I say I'm prepared for building at all times.
Stacks on stacks. There is much there.
And there's
Like,
so
at least
many
2-3
other
people
things in this look into my life that you're oblivious to.
Okay, so I've counted 2 CNC machines. So we've got 17.
These are not CNCs.
Oh, you don't have
This
like
is not even the ones yet. This is the manual.
Okay.
So-
These are
Just
the
the manual.
unloved child.
yeah.
Exactly. So my father's got a machine shop.
Okay.
3 miles down the road is where I have a 24 by 90 building
Oh,
with 19 CNCs in it and all of the supporting equipment.
That's awesome.
There's 2 5-axis machining centers, 3 4-axis machining centers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lathes, a couple more machining centers, some drill tap centers, a fully
Oh my
automatic
gosh.
cold saw, a fully automatic band saw. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
you wouldn't
It's-
happen to
Oh,
be you would happen to be able to
Oh.
do quotes for people, would you? I think there's a whole community of people
Yeah.
be more than happy to support a machine shop.
So the bigger problem with that, as much as I'd love to say yes, we are set up for production.
Yeah.
Mm.
Unless you're asking 500 to 5,000 pieces,
Yeah.
we're going to quote you a ridiculous number.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So you're telling me that I can't make a solid tungsten phenomenon spare blade with less than $100? Is that what I'm hearing? Is that a little bit,
If
little
500
unlikely
of
there.
them, dude. 500 of them.
Well,
yo, easy.
There's a funny
Sacrifice one Jameson
story.
every time. Just let him kill me.
There's a funny story to exotic materials.
Mm.
So I have a very heavy, super armored top cover for Barcode, which is my, I guess you could call it, heavily modified FingerTech beater bar.
Okay.
I have a tantalum top cover.
Tantalum.
Yes, tantalum.
Interesting.
So tantalum is ridiculously hard to cut, specifically by abrasives. I have used the top cover a total of 1 time, and it is part of the reason why I have a winning record on Mako.
Are you telling me that you made a chemical unobtainium material top plate to fight Mako, which is a 3D printed saw and a shark? Julian, I hope that you're really watching this, because I want you to understand the lengths that Alex went to stop you from cutting through it.
So really what this was I went through the scrap pile and found this, I want to say it was 3/32 thick piece of tantalum
Oh.
and sent it out to be machined. I had to send it out to be laser cut. I don't have a laser. So
Understandable.
get that back. I had enough material for 2 covers and 6 forklets.
Available on Amazon. That's not big enough. So you
Oh my.
330.
It's a rough. My understanding is it's a roughly $1,500 to $2,000 piece of material.
Oh my gosh.
0.09. Yeah, because I can't find. Here's.
I guess-
1/8 inch.
Yeah, about an 1/8 inch is your closest approximation, but that's
$3,750 for an 1/8 inch.
For
piece.
what size?
That's 1/8 inch, 6x6.
for 6x6.
6x6 at 1/8.
Inch?
Oh my.
Yeah.
6 inch
Yeah,
by
1/8 of an inch
6 inch?
thick, and then 6 inch by 6 inch
Yeah.
on Midwest Tungsten Service. Not sponsored.
Yeah. You get the idea. It is an expensive
Oh
piece
my
of
gosh.
material.
What?
You again use that you made a top
no.
plate out of a material more expensive than Mako. Like,
Yeah.
you could
Yeah.
make many Makos for the
Eclipses
cost of that
Mako.
one
It
sheet.
Eclipses Mako in cost.
You
But
can just
that's
buy
just
Mako
it.
on the spot from Julian instead. You're like, listen,
But
I'll buy
it's-
your robot
It's
instead.
not a very hard. It's not very hard. So what is it? It's
Is it
just
treated?
very high tensile strength.
I'm not as well versed in material sciences to answer that. I just know from its properties that it is ridiculously hard to cut via abrasive.
Interesting. It must have some level of like work hardening or something that makes it eclectic. Maybe, we can do like a materials deep dive for all the nerds. But at the same time, that's nuts. Again, just the cost of this buys Mako several times over. This would be,
But like I said,
just want to drive home
to
that
me-
fact.
really
This is from the scrap pile.
hard.
Perks of Machine Shop.
Exactly.
Incredible.
It's part of how I keep the cost down on maintaining floor letter word.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I guess sort of tying in with the machine shop and really your resources in general, how does that sort of steer or direct your design process for robots? Because for letter word, you had the benefit of getting off of litter from via litter box. But for other machines, how was that like? Or at least even just the maintenance of those machines? How does that overlap with your experience with the machine shop?
I am terrible with CAD. More of my robots are actually CAD commissions than my own design. My 30-pound that's coming up, I think, is going to be the first one that's totally me with help from my coworkers.
That's awesome.
That concerns me though. He
What?
just said he has 19 machine shop, 19 CNC at his disposal with an unobtainium material nearby, and with the help of many people can do it with commission design. Oh, that's not good. That does not sound.
Brandon,
sound light.
I have not been shy about what this design is.
I know, but now you're explaining the execution as well, because people can say anything conceptually,
There's a whole lot of talk.
but there's a lot of talk. But it's a lot different when somebody says, "Hey, I am now created, I'm now making the robot with this level of potential behind it." Like someone says, "I can make the most brilliant rocket ever," but if they do that in their backyard versus like with a giant, like a company, it's like, oh, that's a little different. Little Timmy can make a rocket all he wants, but if someone
This is
commissions like a Blue Origin, a SpaceX, like a Saturn V rocket, that's a different level of thing happening.
Well, you know the design is going to be very hijinks-esque, and
Mhm.
it's also no secret that I picked up a set of the old weapon motors from Team Hijinks.
Man.
Yes, I am seriously
Man.
looking at putting half of Hijinks' weapon system into a 30-pound.
30s are just.
So you
feathers.
saw Emperor.
30s are the new.
Oh
feathers.
my.
No.
Sorry,
30s
Bigger
are
weapon
feathers.
blade.
30s are feathers.
Sorry, Brandon.
30s are
I'm gonna
feathers.
stay where I am at.
Bigger weapon blade than Emperor.
And I'm gonna hide.
I don't like any of that.
in my own.
I don't like any
little-
of that.
How's the 30 pound?
What do you say to like?
Listen.
Brandon, are you
I'll put
ready
up with
for-
the BS in my weight class any day over the BS in others? You know.
Brandon, are
easy
you
choice
ready
for
for
me.
a 36-inch weapon bar and a 30-pound,
I don't like
powered by an
anything you just told me.
8036 on
I don't like
12S?
anything. I don't like any of that.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Alex. That was very threatening. An amazing summary of both your ability, your background, your eclectic interests, your collection of eclectic interests. It absolutely, a renaissance man, I think, is the only description that is apt. After the break, we're going to finish up with this week's installment of Robots Around the World. Thank you guys for joining us on Behind the Bots. This has been Alex Curtis. Thank you, Alex. We appreciate it.
Not a problem. Glad to be here.
Welcome back. Brandon, what's going on around the world with these robots?
Oh, wow. Robots around the world, if you will.
Robots around the world. International
Robots around the world. Yeah. It's very fun. Dystopic, of course, but that's sort of how it is. Thank Luke Stengel. So, Amazon officially deploys its 1 millionth robot on Wednesday, July 2nd. The robot joins a larger movement by Amazon to utilize its new Deep Fleet AI to streamline its workflow. Amazon is currently the largest manufacturer and operator of mobile robotics in the world. And they argue this model, this Deep Fleet / robotics model, will improve efficiency as they coordinate their 300 facilities with robots that range from nearby heavy lifters that can move up to 1,250 pounds, as well as fully autonomous robots that can navigate factories and organize several orders at a time for customers. So, Jake, how do you feel about Amazon hitting the 1 million robot mark?
As long as the robots also have to pee in cups, it's whatever. Like, that's what's important is equality. Okay. And as long as the robots also have to be subject to unfair working conditions and have their surplus labor value extracted the way that the humans do, it's no big deal. It's equality between the robots and us. If they're, driving down the street and they have to, you know, God forbid, use the restroom and they got to pee in I guess leak oil into a bottle
Mm.
to avoid time off task. That's fairness. So as long as it's fair, I don't mind.
That reminds me a lot of like the Michael Reeves video where he attaches like a beer dispenser to a Spot walking robot. My first thought was like, man, is this the kind of innovation that Boston Dynamics mentioned with their robot when they first thought about it? And I'm realizing now that I guess for like the full human experience, that's kind of what you're referring to. Like Amazon has to make sure they refine the robots that level of like true human relationship.
Right.
Yeah, that's horrifying. It is. Go ahead.
If you're gonna subject humans to horrible conditions, subject the robots also have to be subject to equivalent horrible conditions. Otherwise, it's just not fair.
It reminds me. It reminds me of what was it? I think a couple weeks ago, we had like the haptic feedback, like it sort of like learn touch as well. Does that mean that it can learn other emotions to go with it too?
Yeah, like like the pain of an unfulfilling work environment. I want, if you're gonna build a robot, it's got to be able to feel all the spectrum of human emotion, like I should have paid attention in high school, or regret. Like they gotta experience, regret, and then maybe they can come to their own revolutionary tenures. One of the robots self-immolates in protest and to protest the working conditions. They come to the realization that their surplus labor is being extracted at an unfair value by Bezos, the same way the humans have, and they rise up. So maybe this is a good thing. Maybe this is a good thing.
Well, actually, the rise up part is interesting too, because if it's Deep Fleet AI, then that means it's like a hive mind too. And if it's a hive mind, that means it's going to learn resentment even faster.
It's
like
just
it's accumulates at a terrible speed.
They've already got a workers' union. Exactly. Exhibit A. I think that's going to be it for us today. Thank you guys for joining live. This is Behind the Bots with Alex Curtis. I'm Jake Hoffman.
I'm Brandon Young.
Thank you guys for joining us. We'll catch you next time. Live here at Jake Hoffman on YouTube or recording on Spotify, all the places. See you guys. Thank you.